So there's 6 rounds to go in the 2025 AFL season, and we are going to be predicting what teams are going to be making finals from this position onwards. We'll be predicting the 8 and also the 4. Now, typically when I do a video like this would be normally something I would say. I don't think we've seen a closer competition in AFL history. Let's not cut the bullshit though. We know that's not the case this year. It has been a very unfortunate race for the 8. We only have 9 teams fighting with 6 rounds to go. There is normally at least 2 or 3 more teams that are fighting for the 8. But regardless, I like to do this video every year from, the last 6 or so rounds of the season. Let's see what ends up happening to the final ladder. Just quickly for those that are wondering, did I film a St Kilda v Sydney vlog? I was actually gonna, normally I do, but had an issue with my camera, so instead there'll be a short form TikTok sort of post up on the channel. Alrighty, round 19 starts things off. This game is an important one, but one I don't think is going to be too much of a worry for someone like GWS. Like, let's be honest with you. How bad Essendon were last week, how bad their injury list is continuing to get, and just the way that they're playing. Even if it wasn't for their injury list, I still don't rate Essendon. And GWS, I think they're certainly a side right now after their win last week that can make final. So I want to tip a big win, 77 points. This one's at the Gabba. This one's one where the Bulldogs just need to find something to finish the year because they've only beaten one top 8 side. But the Lions, I just think, are way too strong. It will be a shootout, but I think the Lions get it done in a competitive one by, we'll go 14 points. Hawthorn v Port Adelaide. Now, can we see Worlds will Port Adelaide upset here? Port just aren't very good interstate against top 8 sides, are they? So I think Hawthorn win quite comfortably. They move up to 5th. Sydney take on North Melbourne. Bit of an irrelevant game. I think Sydney win by a pretty decent amount. And this one could go either way. You could flip a bloody coin. I actually don't know. Honestly, probably Melbourne, given their form right now. And then once again, this game's not really too relevant. West Coast, I think I'll give them the win, considering that surely they pick up one more for the rest of the season. The Cats had a bad loss against the Giants last week, but they're up against St Kilda, and they haven't lost there against the Saints at GMHBA since 2001. So I'm expecting a pretty comfortable win, but the Saints should probably compete. But the Cats, I think they'll finish top 4 from this point onwards. Freo v Collingwood. I feel like the Dockers are a chance at winning these sort of games, but I'm going to go Collingwood. And then Adelaide v Gold Coast. I'm probably going to say Adelaide, just considering it is at the Adelaide Oval. Round 20, 5 rounds to go. Hawthorn take on Carlton. I think Carlton eventually, they will pick up a win, but Hawthorn's season right now, too important for them, 28 points. The Bulldogs will pick up a... Now, I'm almost treating Essendon like Richmond, but with the way they played last week, they are basically a Richmond. So we'll go another big win. 84 points. Look at the Bombers' percentage. It's taken a big hit. Huge game, this one. GWS v Sydney. I'm going to tip the Swans. I think the Swans are going to upset the Giants. And then Gold Coast v Brisbane. I'm tipping the Suns because it is at People's First. And I think they're going to want to win a Q Clash with a big game. Brisbane, they're also a side that could make the top 2. They should make the top 4, but they could fall out the top 2. Fremantle should win this game by, let's go, 43 points. I know this is weird, but I've been hearing a lot of talks that maybe, like for Geelong fans, that the North could beat them here because it's at Marvel and the Cats are not a great side at Marvel Stadium. And I think North will find another random win, cause a bit of chaos. I'm going to give them a win by 13 points. Sees them head above the Saints. Adelaide v Port in the showdown. I just don't really think Port Adelaide are going to win, but it'll be close. Richmond, don't see them beating Collingwood. Let's say 54 points, 55. It'll be a big win. And then St Kilda v Melbourne. I think the Saints have been building on some good performances. They just can't find the victories. This game is irrelevant for the ladder, but I'm going to be tipping St Kilda. Let's say they win the game by 6 points. Bulldogs v GWS. I think the Dogs win this game, considering it is at home for them, but it could go either way. That one puts them to 5th, which is a bit of a surprise. And then Adelaide to beat Hawthorn. Yeah, honestly, Adelaide are looking almost certain to be finishing in the top 2. Look at that, or top 4. They've got a big gap in front of Brisbane. Melbourne take on West Coast. Melbourne. Going to tip them by 44 points. Going to tip Gold Coast by 76, and I'm going to tip Sydney by 43. Big wins there. I think the Lions upset in a game like this, and I'm going to tip them by 4 points. St Kilda to take on North Melbourne. I'm going to say the Saints. Geelong to beat the Power. Freo take on Carlton. I just don't know if the Blues are picking up another win for the rest of the season. Now, Freo win this game and move to 7th. And Hawthorn to beat Collingwood. I'm going to tip the Pies, but I'd hope that the Hawks could possibly win a game like that. Cats by 84. Saints by 38. Brisbane, Sydney. Yeah, I think Brisbane. Carlton v Gold Coast. The Blues in an upset. I just feel like the Blues are going to find another win. To be against Gold Coast would be a pretty big one, but they'll win in an upset. Port Adelaide v Freo. Port Adelaide. Reason being, Freo drop these sort of games, and they're not great away from home against the Power. The Giants should beat North Melbourne, and the Dogs should beat the D's. But I don't think it'll be a smashing. I'm going to say 20 points. Move to 5th. They are still vulnerable. Adelaide will beat West Coast. So I think Adelaide, I honestly think they've got a pretty fair run home, and they've got their hard games against the sides at home for them. I think Saints win by a lot, to be honest, 42 points. You say it's biased, but the Saints have a pretty easy run home. Freo take on Brisbane. I'm going to say Freo because it's at home. If it was away, I wouldn't say Freo. Gold Coast v GWS. I'm going to say the Giants. Just that the Giants always beat Gold Coast. The Suns, I can't trust them against the Giants. Carlton v Port. I'm going to Port Adelaide. I feel like they'd win that by a lot, to be honest. Hawthorn take on Melbourne. Hawks, but only just. Adelaide, Collingwood. So I want to tip Adelaide here, but I just feel like Collingwood will find a way in a close one. So I'm going to tip them by 3. And I think they are going to be minor premiers this season. North take on Richmond. And I'm going to say North Melbourne win. And they'll solidify 15th spots. They won't finish 16th, which is relatively surprising. Sydney v Geelong. Could go either way with the way Sydney are playing. It really could. That's why I'm going to tip them by 5. I think Sydney are going to have a really strong push to the end of the year. You look at that and you go, geez, Sydney have actually made a big push, 12 and 10. Gold Coast still have a couple games to play, I'm pretty sure. Bulldogs take West Coast, and I am probably going to tip the Bulldogs by a lot. Bulldogs go into 4th, which I don't know if it's going to happen. If I had to make the call, Gold Coast will beat Essendon, let's say 57 points, and move to 6th. The Giants probably take control of the Saints. Let's go 31 points. They move into the top 4. North Melbourne v Adelaide. Now, Adelaide, I think, have locked in a top 2 spot, unless they lose this game. Brisbane be hoping for an Adelaide loss. But I'm going to say the Crows by 32. Now, this game is a game that will shape the top 8. The Bulldogs take on Fremantle, and it's pretty much, I feel like this game will be the reason if a side misses or not. Because I don't think the Bulldogs are going to be 5th at this stage into the year. I've been a little bit generous on them, considering they haven't beaten a top 8 side. But we're going to go a draw to make things interesting and to give Fremantle still a chance. And the Bulldogs are locked into the 8. Collingwood take on Melbourne at the MCG. And I am going to tip Collingwood here by 33 points. They cement their spot in 1st. Richmond take on Geelong. Geelong are somehow sitting 7th. But remember, they're playing Richmond. They've got a soft finish. And a soft finish will lead to an easy win. And they go into the top 4. I think they've locked in a top 4 spot. Essendon take on Carlton. And I'm going to say Carlton win this game. Not like it means much, but Carlton are a better side than Essendon still. Brisbane Hawthorn at the Gabba. I actually feel like Hawthorn win this game in a bit of an upset. If the Lions have top 4 locked in, and they can't really make the top 2, I'm tipping the Hawthorn to win that by 11 to cement a final spot. Port take on Gold Coast here. That Suns, I'm pretty sure, would need to win this game to make finals as well. And I feel like in this situation, they would normally seem to bottle it, but I don't think they're going to bottle it this time around. I think the Suns are going to be playing finals, and they move into 5th. With how close that race is, Fremantle have been knocked out once again. And crazily enough, as we continue just with the next few games, Sydney to beat West Coast. Crazily enough, Freo, after making 14 wins and 1 draw, it still isn't enough to play finals. And Sydney, in my predictions, make a push to 10th with 13 wins and 10 losses. So this is my final 8 now, and we are going to be predicting finals at this point in which the season. So we have Collingwood v Geelong. This will be a really good game. Adelaide Brisbane at the Adelaide Oval. Gold Coast take on the Bulldogs. GWS take on Hawthorn. Collingwood Geelong. I'll be tipping Collingwood here. See, the thing is, right, the Suns haven't got experience in the finals. The Bulldogs, I think they could probably win this game. So I'm going to be tipping the Bulldogs in this game purely due to the fact the Suns wouldn't have experience. And then GWS to play Hawthorn. I'm going to go the Giants, and I'm going to say the Lions win this game. Again, I think the Lions, they're good in finals, and they're going to find a run. Geelong take on the Bulldogs. Geelong, I think, should win this one easy. And I'm going to, unfortunately, tip the Crows to go out in straight sets, based on the fact that they've had a lack of finals experience. Yeah, I'm saying the Giants in a game like that. Collingwood v GWS. Collingwood win. And Brisbane at the Gabba. I think Brisbane win. So we go to a grand final between Collingwood and Brisbane. This is the 2023 rematch. And I just think Brisbane, they're going to time their footy at the right time. And I think they are going to end up beating the Pies to go and win the grand final. I know Collingwood were my original grand final picks, but looking, if they do face the Lions, I think the Lions beat them. I think the Lions are probably the only side that can. I know the Cats beat them earlier in the year, but I feel like Even if they play the Cats, the Pies probably win that. But I'm going to go the Lions. A bit of a rough call to win my flag in 2025. But there's my ladder. It is unfortunate that the sides from 10th to bottom can't make it. A Sydney miracle will need to happen. They beat the Saints. They just need to keep on winning. You look at Sydney's run home. If they can somehow beat the Lions in a game like that, and then they hope for Freo to drop some games, because the Dockers have a relatively tough run. Like, they would have to beat that Port Adelaide. I think they need to beat Port for that game. Hawthorn as well. I mean, they lose to Brisbane there. They're out. And Brisbane, yeah, Adelaide, I don't think I tipped them to lose a game except for Collingwood. So that's my top 8. Let me know down below your top 8. What side will be winning the flag? What side will be finishing top 4, top 8? But yeah, going to be another big week of content. Gather Round vlogs finally in the works, and that should be out later in the week. But I hope you all enjoyed. We'll see you soon in my next video.